everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Beach Court Podcast. I'm joined by Parker Greenwald and Maddox Corcoran. This weekend, we had a League Cup here in Jacksonville. That was a lot of fun. We'll talk about the results of that today. We'll also talk about everyone's exciting news today. We had some new Worlds information for next year drop, point structures, how you're going to get to Worlds. So that's going to be a very interesting topic. Very excited to talk about that with you guys and get your opinions on, where everything's gone this year. And then we'll also talk about, our favorite segment, Youngster versus Gym Leader. We're going to see if Maddox can come back this week. He's down by 1 point. Not really sure if he can get it back, but I'll try and stump him this week.
We haven't even gotten to the segment yet, and you're already doubting me.
I'm just saying, my question's going to be tough today. I don't know if either of you are going to get it.
All right, we'll see.
I just want to thank everyone for your support last episode. We really appreciate everyone's likes, comments, and subscribes. Love to hear from you today because we're going to be looking forward to some learning content. As we talk about Worlds, everyone's got to do better and earn those points this year. So we want to bring some learning content to you guys. So drop us a comment and tell us what you're excited to learn about this year or anything you want to learn from us, as it relates to the competitive Pokemon TCG scene. But this week is an exciting week, guys. We're going to Worlds. We're leaving for Japan this week. You guys pack your bags yet?
Not entirely.
Don't you leave before us?
I do.
Literally 72 hours from now, Parker will be on a plane to Japan.
Yes. And
that's wild.
Yeah.
Have you packed a single item yet?
Yes. One bag is completely packed.
Okay.
One bag is completely packed.
Are you taking 10 bags or 2?
I'm gonna be taking at least 2 with my the backpack. But we'll see how all that goes because I've already had a ton of people asking to bring me back this thing and
if we can, right? Yeah, we'll see. How about you, Maddox? You pack your bags yet?
I picked there's been a lot of buzz about Gen Pao lately, so I picked up a Gen Pao EX battle deck and I threw that in my backpack for Worlds. Other than that, I still haven't got any clothes or anything, but I got the battle deck, so I'm good for my pick. That's pretty solid in there. Comes with 1 Gen Pao. I think I'll be fine.
Just 1 Gen Pao is enough?
Line too.
Yeah. It comes back Excalibur line,
Any rare candies or just artifacts?
Rare candies too.
Okay, you got some candies. All right, cool. Well, Parker, you were judging the League Cup this weekend, so you didn't get to play, but how'd it go?
Well, it went pretty good. We had 3 people from Jacksonville make it. Being 2 Chen Pao decks that actually ended up mirroring in top 8, and then we had another Lost Giratina deck. But he did not beat the Demons in top 8.
The same list I played last weekend to make a top 4 cup.
Yep. Eric's exact list. They actually ID'd round 2, which I'm sure he will, or round 3, I'm sorry, that I'm sure that Eric will get more into, but I think it is an unwise decision there.
Yeah, I'm interested once we get into that and kind of how I did. I'm interested to hear your opinions on that and kind of what you think, when you should or shouldn't ID with a friend when you're at a cup.
Right.
So what ended up making top 8?
So in top 8, we had we had 2 Chen Pao decks, a Turbo Box, a Gardevoir. We also had an Arc Pile, so it was Arctina with Pikachu. We had a Fusion Mew, we had Lost Tina, and we had Colorless Lugia, which ended up taking it all actually.
Colorless Lugia won?
Yep.
Bro, isn't Lugia dead? I thought it was a brick of a deck.
Well, I think he bricked a couple times, but he was able to overcome the bricks. The deck's just super resilient, I suppose.
Do you remember what his record was? Did he 4-0 ID twice?
He was 4-1 and ID'd with Sam the last round. And then played against Mitch in top 8.
Yep. Sadly, took down my list. It wasn't me playing it, so not sure, if he piloted it perfectly or not. I probably wouldn't have either. That matchup's really weird.
Especially with the Snorlaxes you can just throw at you every turn.
The Snorlax with Charm, if they get the Charm on it, it's just so strange.
And
I think Shred's cool, but it doesn't go through Charm.
Yeah, and I think right now, it's interesting with Giratina, Lost Zone Giratina being so popular right now, seeing Colorless Lugia kind of come out of nowhere in this tournament. And none of the decks in top 8 kind of quite seemed ready to counter it, or if that could keep up with it. It's not a deck that we really think about much, but it did well here. I know Eric, Parker, y'all have played Lugia a lot more than me. Has that made you think about picking up a colorless again, or are you just writing it off as
I
some
mean,
unlucky?
it's really strong to be able to attack turn two, like even if you don't get the Archeops out. You know, if you just have if you have even a therapeutic or a V guard and a double turbo, you're hitting for 160 turn two, even if you don't summoning star. So maybe there's some merit to like running a like 2 to 3 Snorlax line. You know, just saying like, oh, if I don't get Lugia out, I'm attacking with that. But I'm pretty sure he didn't run an Altadura in his list unless he was playing Path. And I don't know.
He played 2 paths. So.
Played 2 Path. Okay, all right. So it's just like it's so inconsistent to find that, and it just feels like there's a lot of Dura in the meta right now. He just avoided it. You know, just dodged a weave.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, Kolos Lugia definitely super strong to just like throw a Snorlax with the charm. Like even if you're not one shotting, just that damage output versus like any 2 prize deck is like probably enough to overcome it.
I mean, I played Arceus Tina to NAIC, and I played against Carlos Lugia one round. And literally game 3, I judged pathed him because that's what we're supposed to do, obviously, and just shut him out of Archeops literally the whole game.
Yeah.
But I was 2-shotting every one of his Snorlaxes, and he's 2-shotting me because again, he doesn't need Archeops to set it up. So by the end of the game, he's taken 4 prizes. Ionos himself to 2, hits Messagoza Jet Energy, hits heads on Messagoza to get the Lugia V-Star, and then just weird ears me for game. And it's just like, okay, I mean, that's disgusting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they can just keep hitting stuff. So what did he play against in the finals?
In the finals, he played against Fusion Mew, which after I saw their starting hands, I didn't see Lugia's starting hand, but he started Meloetta, Fusion, Ultra Ball, Battle Pass, Genesect. Like he started a good hand, so I'm assuming he got like some kind of turn 1 knockout, but I I uh I don't know.
I mean, if
I
Lugia
didn't.
is smart, they just leave a 1 prizer in the active, like a Snorlax, right?
Right, yeah, I didn't see what he started, but I'm assuming he started a 1 prizer and was able to crawl back after that. I do know that he ran Drapion in his list. That definitely put in a lot of work in those 2 games in the
I'm
finals.
sure, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, Weirdeer, how many energy does Weirdeer need to blow up a Mew? Like 8?
uh yeah.
I mean, like, just think about it, right? You just bench Drapion, you Archeops to 2 other Pokemon, right?
Mhm.
And then Drapion on that turn. Then next turn, when they knock out the Drapion, you promote the something else and then retreat into that and just bring all the energies up with one of the Archeops, and it feels
Weirder,
like it's
yeah.
not too bad, right? It's probably pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, honestly.
So, you know, that's probably why he won. I mean, if I had to guess, I didn't see the match either. We had left
Yeah.
early.
Yeah, I mean, and the math also gets weird from you again, just like if you have to 2-shot it, for example, like if you have to double turbo swing into it, you're hitting 190 with a charm, like you're 2-shotting a Snorlax with Mew VMAX unless you use a power tablet. Like that just feels awful, right? You have
Yeah.
to use a power tablet to KO 1 prizer. So it definitely makes some weird math. I know that like a lot of Mew decks might play rope to get around that like Snorlax in the active. But a lot of times, it's that question of can Lugia get 1 or 2 Lugias in play to prevent the donk, also have something to rope into. Like there's definitely some early situations that's weird, and it never feels good to have to take a 1 prizer with a turn 2 or a turn 1 attack with Fusion Mew.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weakness of Mew nowadays is that it can't judge path really easily. Like they usually don't run more than like 1 or 2 paths at most.
If any.
So yeah, if any, and like that used to be the Mew strategy to beat Lugia. So like now it just feels like a really bad matchup for them.
Exactly. I mean, the Fusion Mew list I ran this weekend, I played 0 path and 0 judge. So it was just no, I didn't have a chance to do that.
So you played Fusion Mew? How'd that go?
I did. I was kind of between a few different options, and there was a list that I had seen a little while ago before NAIC. I tried a game or 2 of it and kind of wrote it off, and then went back to it. This was Fusion Mew with Squawkabilly EX. Really, the idea to just go as fast as possible. You always go second, and honestly, I think every single round except for 1, I had the turn 1 KO, which that on its own is very strong, right? Against the Chen Pao, I was able to Pokemon catcher up a 2 prizer on the first turn after sparkling and Mellow
Yes,
at a KO
sir.
it, and they just conceded the second game or in turn 2. But at that, sometimes I was squawkabilling away 3 energy because that's what I had in my hand, and I still needed to play the game. So you definitely run into some weird situations. I ended up 3-3. I did play against a couple of the folks in top 8, including the Arc Pile and the Turbo Lost Box. So I played against both of them. I mean, they're both very strong opponents. The Arc Pile game was weird. And then the Turbo Lost Box game, I made a misplay at the end that put me out of it. But I mean, it's a stacked cup, especially, you know, so much talent in Jacksonville. Plus, when you bring in some folks from Orlando or other surrounding areas in Georgia, and you get some strong talent that shows up. So they're always a good time.
Yeah, we had 50 people, so we got top 16 points, right?
Yep.
So we'll get to my run. I played so we talked about Chin Pao dominating the meta recently, and it really has been locally. And our meta's probably 30% Chin Pao, I would say, lately. So
Yep.
I went with a Zamazenta Lost Box that had Zamazenta, Snorlax, and Kyogre for all the other matchups. I didn't Kyogre once. I got close to it in one of my matchups versus a Guardy. Just didn't get the right energies off my prizes, and there was a gate prize. It was just really awkward. There was a situation where I could have done it that turn and won, but I needed to hit 5 energies, not 4, and I can only do 4. So I could have forced a tie in that game. I'd already had one tie because of the ID we'll talk about in a second. But I didn't want to force a tie. I wasn't playing a tie. I'm playing to win the cup because we'll go to the awards points in a minute, but 50 points matters. You know, just getting top 16 doesn't, it's okay, but like I'm going to replace it, hopefully. Right. So
Yeah.
I played Luminion on my list for consistency instead of Pokegear because I hate that card sometimes. It just, you whiff on it and it's just terrible. So I played Luminion, and he had a really thick deck and only a 2-card hand. He was drawing only 4 cards because I counted all of his basic energies, but I didn't count his reversal energy. So he drew his 4 cards, missed, and then had reversal energy to discard Greninja, and then hit the boss on those 2 cards to win. Otherwise, I could have Sableye for game the following turn. So that was my one loss of the day, was to Guardy. And then I tied, intentionally drawed round 3. So my thought was going into this round, there was a lot of our friends that were 2-0. Like Maddox was 2-0, I was 2-0. There was like 4 other of us that were 2-0. And I was like, okay, like someone's going to hit each other. And then last weekend in the cup I was in Tampa last weekend when I got top 4, the guy I went, Gavin, he accidentally tied round 3 because of like just not a natural tie. And there wasn't top 16, so I guess there was less people, and that's probably what I didn't account for. But he tied and then won his next 2 and just was able to ID the last round. And then I made top cut at 4-1-1, and it was like a clean cut. So I was like, okay, well, I feel confident enough, like through 3 rounds, I can go 2-1 and have a good chance at making top cut. And I did just that. I lost my next round to the Guardian we just talked about, and then I won my last 2 opponents. But I had 3 opponents drop, so I missed top cut on resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you mentioned that's probably not wise the ID there. So like, what's your opinion, Parker?
My opinion, my very, very, very personal opinion is just win. Just beat your friend. You know, he's your friend. They'll understand. But I think once you're in like 1 round short of where you would need to be, so like at this cup, for example, like at 4-0, obviously you're safe to ID, but at this, I would ID at like 3-0 personally. So you're like 3-0-1, you're gonna have the like good opponent tiebreakers, like better tiebreakers, and then also you're gonna have basically you need to win one of the next 2. Or yeah, you need to win. Yeah, one of the next 2 to make it.
Go 4-1-1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because so you're thinking like it's better to ID at 3-0 than it is at 2-0.
Yes, like I personally, unless it was like a very unfavorable matchup or like
Right,
like something like that, then I honestly would just play.
understood.
Yeah,
Well, we learn, right?
exactly. I know, Eric, I remember even in the Pensacola Cup we went to in April or May or whenever that was, we got paired up round 3 and ID'd. And I know it worked out. I know that I think Parker and I both made cut then. But even then, it was kind of, you know, those weird spots where I guess, you know, if it's fine if you get to 4-0-1 or whatever you need to, but good point where if it's maybe worth waiting around for that and just kind of guarantee. And no hard feelings if you're just playing friends. Just all right, it's a little more casual. We're just testing, and yeah, there's points on the line, but we each want each other to succeed at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Mitch ended up making top cut, right? So
he did. Yep.
I think maybe I just had some worse opponents round 1 and 2 potentially. I mean, my first opponent went 1-3 drops, so, and he's one of the top players in the city, so I didn't expect that. But you know,
yeah.
you know that happens. Yeah, I played against 4 homies.
Yeah.
So
It's a local cup.
It's a local cup, yeah. So that was tough.
Yeah, I know there were a bunch of people that there's like 3 tables that ID'd like round 5 to go to like or like round 4 to go to like 2-1-1 or something like that. I was like, no, you guys are throwing like this is
Yeah,
not good.
yeah. I didn't expect that many to tie, and then like I saw table 5 ID'd round 5, and I was like, okay, that was strange. I didn't expect those things. So
I didn't either, but
it just threw off some weird math and stuff, and I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, Zamazenta was really good. It won me like 4 games, so
yeah,
I can't complain.
that
That
card is
card's really good.
correct.
Yeah, card's really cracked. So, well, that's the cup that we had this weekend. That was a lot of fun. So now I just want to say thanks to our sponsor, Nakama Anime Cafe. Thanks again for sponsoring us this week, Maddox. How you been today? Been out there lately?
I mean, yeah, I was out there this past Wednesday. I know, the people listening to the podcast, it'll be the day before this comes out. They do a Wednesday night pre-release. So I really like it because you have a chance to do a pre-release during the week, because sometimes the weekends just get too busy or you have other cups and tournaments you're going to. But one big event that Nakama Anime Cafe and Bar has coming up that I saw is they actually have a karaoke idol on August 26th. This is a J-pop and K-pop singing competition. Anyone
Ooh.
listening can't see Parker's reaction, but I think it's a safe bet that once Parker gets back from Worlds, you'll be able to catch him at Karaoke Idol on August 26th. So, big shout out again to Nakama Anime Cafe and Bar in Orange Park for sponsoring us, and actually for anyone following us on our Twitter and on our Worlds journey, we'll be representing Nakama as well at the World Championships.
Yes,
so
we will.
Keep an eye out for us there, and again, check out Nakama Anime Cafe for any of your anime drink, food, and karaoke needs.
Maddox, are you going to try and win that idol competition? I know you're a big singer.
I'm a big singer. I know no K-pop unless no K-pop or J-pop unless Gangnam Style counts. But I think it's way too outdated to show up there and
I'm sure someone doesn't sing that song.
I mean, it's karaoke, so the words are on the screen, man. It can't be that hard.
Oh, you read Korean?
Yeah, most places, pops up in Korean.
Okay,
or whatever language it's in. So
all right, well, maybe you can learn some while you're overseas. All right, so let's transition to our youngster first gym leader. If you don't know, Parker is the gym leader. Max is the youngster. We'll jump right into it. You touched on the pre-release in 2 days. We're gonna be testing your Obsidian Flames knowledge today.
Oh god.
So I hope you've been doing your homework. So basically, every set has a certain number of EXs. I'm looking to find out how many EXs are in this set.
Oh my god. All right.
Is it like a closest guess gets the point, or we have to get exactly on the number?
You have to get the number.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Without looking, let's see.
We're talking named Pokemon, so like Charizard 1, Charizard 2, Charizard 3 doesn't count.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So
I did not do any secret rares or anything like that. I just did the base.
All right, so we got Charizard.
Don't forget to message me in the chat for the answer when you get it, when you're ready.
Yeah.
Or we can get 2 hints. Got 2 hints.
I'm gonna talk it out with myself. So we got Charizard.
Let's say we can't ever. Do you want to collude Parker and talk through some of them together?
Yeah. Let's. This is a toughie. So let's get this.
We got Charizard, Absol, Glamora.
Yep.
Is this what the new Miraidon and Koraidon are out?
Yes, they're both in the set. There's Houndoom EX, Tyranitar EX, Ice Q EX. Charizard.
You guys are both trying to get like the same amount of points here, and this is hilarious because neither of you like get an advantage, and then Max, you got to get the answer, the bonus question right.
Just trust me on this one. Let me cook.
Let him cook.
The Charizard, Absol, Glamora, Miraidon, Koraidon, Houndoom, Tyranitar, Ice Q. Pidgeot.
You did pull that one this weekend.
I did. Reveroom, one that Eric pulled.
I pulled 2 of them. 2 of those illustrator arts.
Is the Toad's Cruel in this set?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we're at 11. There's one more stage 2, I think.
What are the hints? I'm curious what the hint would even be. It's just gonna be like it's
when
more
you're
than
ready
10,
for the hints,
we gotta wait for the hint. Ask and we shall receive.
I mean, since you guys are working together, you guys could ask for the hint.
Do you want to?
I'll take a hint for the content.
Sure.
All right.
I'll take
So
that.
hint number 1 is there was only 9 different types of EX. So not every type got an EX. So there's at least 9.
Should have just guessed this before, I guess. Oh,
I don't know
wait,
if that
how do
helps
I
anything.
message
Is there a water?
this?
Is there a water type EX? And ice, because Ice Cube's fire type.
Probably should have just guessed this before the hint. I'm just gonna throw.
Okay, Parker has locked in his answer.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I just
Max?
help give you answers and you don't even collude with me anymore? Brutal, brutal.
Maddox, would you like the last hint?
No, I'm trying to think. Do I go with my list? Because I have 11 typed out on my list. But do I just say I'm gonna guess I missed one? So I'll just put 12 in the chat.
Okay. All right. Both of you have locked in the incorrect answer.
Okay.
Parker locked in 13. Maddox locked in 12. I'll give you
Okay.
guys each an opportunity to earn 1 point really quick, because you got the one more hint. So the second hint is this is an important number in an adult's life. I'll give you one more guess if you want to guess it in the chat.
I guess I'll just put that.
What?
Oh, whoops. I put it. Oh, wait.
No, you gave it to me. You're good.
Okay.
Okay, you both locked in the same number and you were both wrong.
What? No.
You gotta remember, an adult isn't an adult until they're 18. So their important number isn't, they're not an adult until they're 18. So the important
You're
number
telling me
is
there's 21
there is
EXs
21
in this
Oh,
set?
different EXs in the set.
Oh, you
Alright,
missed a
Let's-
lot on our list. Colluding sucked. I'm not doing that anymore.
let's name them, I guess.
Okay, I'll run through them. Decidueye EX,
Okay.
Toadstool EX,
Okay.
Victini EX, Ice Cube EX, Tyranitar EX, Maddox, your personal favorite, Palmot EX, Maridon EX, Clefable EX,
Oh, yeah.
Vespiquen EX, Houndstone EX, Cloth EX, the Glimmer, I don't know how to pronounce the Glimmerin. How do you pronounce that one?
Glamora.
Glamora
Or
EX,
probably, yeah.
Caridon EX, Charizard EX, Houndoom EX, Absol EX, Melmetal EX is one you didn't get, Reverum EX, Dragonite EX, Pidgeot
Dragonite
EX,
Is it a Dragonite?
and everyone's favorite Beaver / whatever he is,
Oh, Greedent.
Greedent EX. Yes. All right, Maddox, you get one opportunity to level up the score here. There's only one type of Pokemon in this set that did not get a EX. What type is it?
Oh, if I just listened and remembered all the types. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there was a water type. I said that earlier, and I really don't think there was a water type because Ice Cube isn't one.
Correct.
Because there's like Houndstone and I mean, because yeah, Dragonite's the dragon. Let's go water.
Water's correct. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. You leveled it up.
There you
It's
go.
now
Hey.
2-2. Well
Colluding
done.
works.
Well
I
done.
distract Parker, throw him off his game, tie it up in the bonus.
Yes. good
Easiest point of
job.
my life.
This
Well done.
Dragonite is terrible.
Yes, it's not
It's all
good.
theme deck stuff.
You have to
Parker.
flip a coin and it doesn't attack next turn if you don't hit heads.
Bro, all these
Flip your heads.
EXs are
Yeah.
are not good.
Yeah, flip your head, says the view player. All right, so let's jump into the next segment. Maddox, you worked on a really cool graphic today talking about the route to worlds. You want to share that and
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about that some?
I'll hop right into it. I mean, so I'm showing off here. You know, I put it on our Twitter already. So anyone who is not already following us at Beach Court Pod on Twitter, I've posted the graphic there, and I've shared it on my personal Twitter as well too. Literally, you know, earlier today when the news came out about the points, and now the new limit is 600. So now everyone in Twitter can get rid of those question mark in their bios and say, hey, they're at 50 out of 600 points or whatever.
Yep.
But my first thought was, okay, how do we get there? Right, last year it was 350, changed to that, and now it's 600. So I put together a chart kind of a few different ideas, right? I think I would put myself into a category of someone who will be traveling for regionals and wants to try to lean into the game more and see more, go to more ICs and hit a lot of regionals. And you know, who gets tired sometimes of the grind for like cup and challenge points. So I prefer to go to regionals rather than the local stuff. So what's the route for someone like that versus someone who is maybe that local warrior or someone who is maybe kind of far from regionals, but is out in an area where there's a few consistent cups they can go to and are one of the top players in that area who says, hey, I can go and get, you know, I can go and win 4 cups in the next year type of thing, 4 or 5 cups in the next year. Like, what's their route versus, different people, or someone who says, hey, I can't travel to too many regionals. I probably only get, 2, 3, 4 in my belt that I can go to. How well do I need to perform in order to make it?
Yeah. So
So
one of the interesting pieces of the equation, right, is there's only 6 best finish limit for locals, which I think we were all expecting 8, right? I mean, that's what it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of weird, Parker. What do you think about that? Why do you think they did 6 instead of 8?
I'm not sure, honestly. Like, I really liked. I honestly was a fan of like the 2 per quarter thing, but I do see the argument against it because, like, if someone joins, halfway through the second quarter, and there's only like 1 cup in the area, so you've missed out on, 150 points just from cups right there.
Yeah.
But in the past, since I've been playing since 2015, it's always been 8, um, whether it be 2 per quarter or just 8 total. So I was a bit surprised they did that. Definitely gonna make you pull out the credit card a little more for the plane tickets and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was
I
a bit
mean,
surprised.
in theory, right? Like look at your graphic here, Maddox, and one of your takeaways on the right side is ICs help tremendously. Last year I was able to make it to 2. I only got points in one of them, and Parker, you got your final points,
I
at
did.
NAIC. So
Had the miracle run.
NAIC points are crazy good. They did add a new kicker this year, which is pretty interesting. So I think Pokemon's learned and they're starting to respond to the fact that these tournaments are larger, harder to win, harder to place well. I mean, as of now, I'd like to see them add something to like the day 2 part of it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see day 2 mean something more, instead of like somebody that makes day 2 can still get, 140th place versus someone that didn't make day 2 can get 240th place and still get the same number of points. It just makes day 2 not mean anything, and I don't like that because to me, I've only made one day 2, and it means a lot to me. I think that's a huge accomplishment for someone. So, I mean, but you look at the new kicker, we've got a 2046 person kicker added now. So it looks like basically what they're saying is half the field, assuming you're at the minimum kicker, gets points. Which I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
So the new kicker is 2046, and they can get 50 points if you finish 513th through 1024. Which, I mean, you just gotta be under a rock to not finish that most. You know what I'm saying?
That.
I mean,
You
unless
say
you go
that.
03 drop. If you go 03 drop, I mean, sure, but
also, I mean, I think a lot of the good part about these new kicker limits is now 03 drop, isn't even a thing you have to do, right? I think now,
true, yeah,
right, you can go, you can go 5, if you can go 5-4 in some cases and get points.
I got points at 5-4 in Portland. It was great.
That he did.
I think a couple things that gives me a lot of hope for some of these announcements that came out is one, that new kicker at 2046. So if you look back at NAIC, they only had about 1,900 players, and the cap we were guesstimating was around that 2,100 number. So saying that there's a kicker at 2046, I think that means that we could be opening the door to a much wider invitation, right? Maybe look at like 2,500 people at NAIC. Imagine if everyone who wanted to register for NAIC could have registered, what those numbers could have been. The other part is that regional prizing hasn't been announced besides the caches for like first place. So I think that we could even see something now where more packs are being sent out, or there's more cash prizes and they're upping it across the board.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I have no say in it, obviously, but I would like to see, just like a small amount, like $100 to just everyone in day 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you had to stay the extra night at the hotel. Like some people missed their flight to play in day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like
True.
It's definitely, getting day 2, and then like Eric was saying earlier, like sometimes, it doesn't go your way. You get there and you get 129th, and you get the same amount as Jimmy, who went 5-4 and left and got drunk and passed out.
Wasn't that me though?
Yeah. Eric was Jimmy there, yeah.
Yeah, I was Jimmy there for sure. But I think I saw a tweet from you, Parker, that said maybe you fall under this third category of the budget competitor this year, and you know, if you don't do well at Pittsburgh, or, cities don't come back or they don't change something, that you might not, really grind as much this year. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, so I'm not what you'd classify as wealthy or anything, but looking at like the budget competitor thing, like if I could go to enough cups, have a couple, like not even like six, but just like a couple like really good showings at regionals, and then like if I'm able to go to multiple ICs, which hopefully I'll at least be able to go to NAIC and LAIC. Definitely is still in the books. I know that traveling from Orlando is definitely a blessing as well because flights are typically cheap out of Orlando.
Yeah, they are typically cheaper.
Mhm.
Another interesting to point here is like Maddox, most of your calculations here, they don't include special events. So
No.
special events or regional events, they do count towards your best finish limit of 6 for regionals. But you do have access to those, and looking at the airports, that are on the schedule, Charlotte's pretty accessible, San Antonio's pretty accessible. So hopefully some of these flights aren't super expensive, and because they're on the books now, we can start, getting a little bit cheaper flights.
Yeah, exactly. Some of those locations that were picked, even like in the California regionals, Sacramento, fair, very accessible city, and also LA versus something like Fresno, right? Just some of these picking bigger areas, that makes it a little easier to get to. There's still some spots like Peoria that are like, interesting choice. But fortunately, these are hopefully in good locations people can drive to, so that way instead of having to, dish out, for 4 plane tickets, go to 4 regionals, you're able to, maybe drive to 2 and then get a cheap budget flight to 2 and go to more of them.
Yeah.
I know especially like for Pittsburgh coming up, we're able to get a bunch of our kind of folks in the Jacksonville community together and able to get a cheap Spirit flight there, and we're splitting an Airbnb, and it's gonna come out to a pretty good price. So definitely, if you can go with a group of people or find some of those like-minded people, it makes it a lot easier for splitting Uber costs or splitting a hotel, things like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So as we sorry, Max, to wrap it up here. So we got to move on to the next topic here. So we're going to Worlds, right? We're going to Worlds this week, and we're talking about your route to Worlds next year. The one weird thing we haven't talked about is tiers. And there's going to be tiers that top 16 now will get a round 1 bye instead of a day 2 invitation. So does that mean that we think there will not be 2 separate tournaments and your records may carry over, and you can't get a new deck the next day? Like, what are your predictions on what that format's going to look like next year?
I think for the uneducated youngster opinion here, but just as I've learned more about this World's format, in preparing for it, it feels like kind of interesting, right? That's like a sub tournament. It says, okay, you made it to like the initial tournament, but it's almost more like a qualifier for the real tournament in itself. The quote real tournament being day 2, where you have a really tough grind just to make it to the day 2 tournament to have the chance to win prizes and glory. Right. I think here, if it returns to something similar to what we see at an IC or a regional, it seems a little bit more streamlined with all the other events, just from my initial view. But Parker, I don't know what you think from playing it more and seeing other Worlds formats.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, as you were saying, I don't know exactly what they're gonna do with it. I would expect it to be somewhat similar to where, I mean, everyone plays day 1, but they'll probably have it be like 10 rounds, maybe. I don't know. And then day 2, I'm going to. There used to be a thing that they did where day 1 you would play standard and day 2 you would play expanded at regionals. I think that we might see some of that because
please no.
Expanded is back. I mean, I really, really hope they take a look at the format and update like the ban list and stuff. But I think that's also a possibility we might see.
Maybe GLC day 2.
No,
I don't think we're that far yet, but I mean, that is a possibility.
I mean, no one really knows how to play expanded. It's kind of on the same level as GLC, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, but expanded is just not fun, whereas GLC is very fun.
So why not make it day 2? It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
I think for expanded, I would just love the Fusion Strike system for 9 in a tournament.
Not once you get KO'd and lose the game on the first turn.
Well,
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's interesting to think about, but just gonna wrap it up here. If you haven't already, please follow our Beach Court podcast on Twitter, or I shall say X now. I don't even know what this thing is called anymore. But our socials at Beach Court Pod. You can follow us there. We'll post updates while we're at the World Championships. So we'll post it there, as well as on our individual socials. Maddox, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Maddox TCG. I'm rebuilding on my Instagram, kind of recapping the Road to Worlds, and I'll be posting stories probably of these two guys in in Japan. So feel free to keep up with me there.
And Parker, where can they find you?
Same thing. Twitter and Instagram is squint_PTCG. I'm sure you'll see some buffoonery and some good scenery on both of the platforms.
Buffoonery and good scenery. I like
some
that.
Buffoonery. Yeah, that's definitely a big boy word right there.
And it rhymed.
And it rhymed. You can find me at eRidgeway6590. I mostly just use Twitter. I don't really use the other platforms for socials that much. But our next episode, we'll hopefully be recording in Japan. We'll see how that goes. We're going to try and record the Monday after Worlds while we're in Japan, and still release our podcast on Thursday to you guys of that week. Hopefully, one of us is a champion by the time you hear us next. So
certainly one of us is the champion.
Certainly, right? It has to come from Jacksonville, Florida. We got to put this place on the map.
It's 3 out of 500 chance, right?
I mean, I think it's like 700, right?
Oh, jeez.
Who knows? Yeah.
Anyways, thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, we'll see you then.
See you later.